The first time my mother realized I wasn't small anymore, she laughed. Not a warm laugh, not surprise. A sharp one. Quick. Dismissive. It happened in her kitchen under the buzzing fluorescent light she never replaced. The dishwasher was running, rattling like it always did, drowning out anything uncomfortable. I was standing by the counter, coat still on fingers, wrapped around my phone like it could anchor me. She looked at the screen, then at me. "That can't be right," she said. "You must be reading it wrong." That was the moment something in me shifted. Not loudly, not all at once. Just a tight click, like a lock turning. Before I tell you how that night ended, let me say this. If you've ever had family treat you like you don't matter, if you've ever been the quiet one, the reliable one, the one they overlook because you don't cause trouble, then you already know how this kind of story goes. So if that's you, hit like, subscribe, stay with me. Because this isn't about money. It's about what people feel entitled to take from you when they think you'll never fight back. My name is Madeline Brooks. I'm 31 years old, and I grew up as the child my family never worried about. Not because I was strong, but because I was invisible. My younger brother Evan was different. Evan was a project, a promise, a miracle according to my mother. From the time he could walk, everything in our house bent toward him, his moods, his needs, his potential. When Evan cried, my mother ran. When I cried, she waited. "You'll be fine," she'd say without looking up. "You always are." That sentence followed me everywhere. At 12, Evan got a brand new bike. I got his old one, rusted chain-crooked seat. When I pointed out the tire was flat, my mother sighed like I was exhausting. "Do you really need a new one?" she asked. "Your brother's busy right now." At 16, Evan got a car, a real one, not a hand-me-down. My father shook his hand like he'd earned it. I got a bus pass and a reminder to be grateful. "You don't need distractions," my mother said. "Focus on school." I did. I focused so hard I disappeared. I worked after class, weekends too. I paid for my own books, my own application fees, my own groceries once I moved out. When I got into a state university, my mother smiled thinly and said, "Well, that's practical." Evan went private, out of state, tuition wired without discussion. Every family dinner followed the same script. Evan talked. Everyone listened. I spoke. Someone checked their phone. "He's got big ideas," my mother would say, hand on his arm like he might float away. "He's a thinker." If I mentioned an internship, she waved it off. "You're always working," she said once, frowning. "You should try to enjoy life." That was the first time something in me snapped, not loudly, just enough to notice. I stopped explaining myself. I studied computer systems. I stayed up late. I learned how to build things quietly. I didn't tell my family when I landed my first real job, or my second, or when I left to start something of my own. They never asked. And that hurt more than anything else, because when you're ignored long enough, you start wondering if silence is all you deserve. Last winter, my parents invited everyone to Scottsdale for a small family dinner. My mother's words. Small meant 12 people, a table too tight, and opinions packed closer than elbows. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and roasted chicken. The lights were too bright, the kind that show every flaw. Evan arrived late, loud, already talking. "I've got something big coming," he announced before even sitting down. "Real estate, strategic, not like the little stuff." My mother leaned in. "I knew it," she said. "You've always had vision." I sat across from them, hands folded in my lap, listening to him describe nothing for 20 minutes. No numbers, no details, just confidence. When the plates were cleared, my mother finally looked at me. So she said, tilting her head, "What are you up to these days?" The way she said it made it sound like a polite formality, like asking a cashier how their day is. "Still behind that laptop all day," she added, half smiling. Evan snorted. I didn't answer right away. I watched the reflection of the chandelier tremble in my water glass. My fingers tightened around my sleeve. "I run a company," I said. My mother waved a hand. I know. Computers." Something in my chest burned. Slow, controlled. "It passed a valuation milestone last quarter," I said. Evan rolled his eyes. "Here we go." I looked directly at my mother. $25 million, I said, as of December. The room froze. Forks paused midair. Someone coughed. My father stared at the table like it had personally betrayed him. Evan laughed. Loud, sharp. "That's not funny," he said. "Why would you joke about that?" "I'm not," I replied. My mother's smile vanished. "You shouldn't say things like that," she snapped. "It's embarrassing. For who?" I asked. "For your brother," she said immediately. "You're upsetting him." That was the second something in me snapped. Evan pushed his chair back, the legs screeching against tile. "You've never done anything big," he said, standing. "You just got lucky somewhere. Or you're lying." My mother nodded. "Exactly. You've always exaggerated." I looked at her, really looked, the tight jaw, the crossed arms, the way her eyes dared me to back down. "I built it," I said, "without help." Her mouth twisted. "You've changed," she said. "Money does that. Makes people think they're better than their own family." The dishwasher clicked off behind us. The sudden silence was deafening. My father finally spoke, voice low, uncertain. "Let's calm down," he said. My mother turned on him. "This is what happens when you don't keep her grounded," she snapped. Then she looked back at me. "You used to know your place, Madeline." That was the last thing she said before the room collapsed into noise, and it was the sentence that told me everything I needed to know. The dinner didn't end. It dissolved. Chairs scraped back. Someone laughed too loudly. My aunt pretended to check the oven even though the food was gone. Evan paced behind his chair like a trapped animal, running a hand through his hair, muttering just loud enough to be heard. 25 million, he said again, tasting the words like something rotten. "That's insane." My mother stood rigid at the head of the table, arms crossed, lips pressed thin. She didn't look at me. She looked at him. "You know she exaggerates," she said, voice tight but soothing. "She's always been dramatic." I felt my jaw lock. "I'm sitting right here," I said. She waved me off without turning. "Don't start." My father cleared his throat. "Madeline, maybe this isn't the time." "When as I cut in?" That did it. Evan spun toward me. "You think you're special now," he snapped. "You think some number makes you better than everyone. I didn't say that." "You didn't have to," he said. "You love this, watching us react." My mother finally looked at me then. Her eyes were cold. "Why would you bring this up here?" she demanded. On a family night, I glanced around the table. 12 faces, none of them on my side. Some curious, some uncomfortable, a few already judging. "You asked," I said. "No, I didn't," she shot back. "I made conversation. You turned it into a spectacle." That word landed hard. Spectacle. I pushed my chair in slowly and stood. The room felt smaller now, the air thick. "I didn't come here to humiliate anyone," I said. "I came because you invited me." Evan scoffed. "Sure you did." My mother leaned forward, palms flat on the table. "You should apologize," she said. "You blindsided your brother." I laughed. It slipped out before I could stop it. Short, sharp, for what I asked. "Doing well." Her face hardened. "For lying," she said. "And if you're not lying, then for being cruel, cruel." I felt something settle in my chest. Heavy. Certain. "I'm leaving," I said. My father looked up, startled. "Madeline." But I was already grabbing my coat. Evan watched me like I was walking out on a performance he hadn't finished critiquing. "Run away," he said. "That's what you do." I stopped at the door and turned back. "No," I said calmly. "That's what you think I do." Then I left. The night air hit my face like a slap. Cold. Clean. I stood on the driveway for a moment, breathing, listening to the faint hum of traffic in the distance. My phone buzzed in my hand before I even reached my car. A text from my mother. "We will talk about your behavior later." I stared at the screen, then slid the phone into my pocket and drove away. The first voicemail came the next morning. Evan's voice. Casual. Almost cheerful. "Hey, sis. About last night. Things got heated. You know how Mom gets. Anyway, I've been thinking. If what you said is true, we should talk. Family stuff. Delete." The second was from my mother. "You embarrassed us," she said, no greeting. "Your brother didn't sleep. He's under so much pressure already. I don't know why you enjoy hurting him. Delete." By noon, the group chat lit up. A cousin posted a meme about sudden millionaires. Another added a laughing emoji. No names, no context, just enough. That afternoon, my phone rang again. My father. "Can we just smooth this over?" he asked quietly. "Your mother's very upset." "I'm sure," I said. "She feels attacked." I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling of my office. The hum of servers behind the wall grounded me. "Dad," I said, "she accused me of lying." He hesitated. "She's protective. Of him. We both knew it. Evan's got something going," he continued. "It's early but promising. He could really use no," I said. There was a pause. "I didn't finish," he said gently. "I did," I replied. "The answer is no," he sighed. "You've always been so firm." That word again, like it was a flaw. The messages didn't stop. They changed shape. "Evan tried charm. You and me could do something huge together. My mother tried guilt. Family supports each other. An aunt tried shame. Money changes people." By the third day, I stopped responding altogether. That's when the posts started. Nothing direct, nothing explicit. Just stories. Vague comments about selfish siblings and people who forget where they came from. Photos from the dinner I'd already left cropped carefully to exclude me. It was a campaign, quiet, slippery. One night, I sat alone in my apartment, lights off, except for the glow of my laptop. The city outside was a scatter of white and red dots, cars moving with purpose. My phone buzzed. A new message. From Evan. "Look, this is bigger than feelings. I've got investors asking questions. They like the family angle. They trust names." I didn't reply. Another message came through seconds later. "You wouldn't even have to do much. Just lend credibility." That word made my stomach drop. Credibility. I called Rachel. She answered on the second ring. "Something's off," I said. "I think my brother is using my name." There was a brief silence. "Send me everything," she said. I forwarded the messages, screenshots, links I hadn't clicked before. Rachel called back 10 minutes later. "Madeline," she said carefully, "this isn't just pressure. This is positioning." "What do you mean, he's telling people you're involved?" she said. "Maybe not directly, but enough to imply backing." I closed my eyes. My phone buzzed again. A new text. From my mother. "I raised you better than this." I stared at the words until they blurred. Then I typed back for the first time. "You raised me to stay quiet." The reply came instantly. "Don't twist things." I set the phone face down on the table. Outside, a siren wailed and faded. Inside, the room was silent. I knew then this wasn't going to end with apologies. They weren't asking for help. They were already taking. The pressure didn't come all at once. It crept. Quiet texts at first, then calls at odd hours. Messages sent just late enough to feel deliberate, just early enough to ruin sleep. My mother left voicemails without saying my name. "You know what's right," she'd say. "You always have." Evan's tone shifted again. Less charm, more certainty. "You don't even have to show up," he texted. "People just want reassurance." Reassurance. Like I was a brand he could slap on a pitch deck. I stopped answering completely, moved their numbers to silence, muted the family chat. For the first time in weeks, my phone stayed still. That's when it got louder. A cousin tagged another cousin in a post about siblings who forget loyalty once they get ahead. No names, no denials, just enough comments to turn it into a conversation. Someone replied, "Money always reveals character." Another added, "Some people are born takers." I scrolled once, then closed the app. At work, everything was clean, precise, predictable. My team didn't flinch when I spoke. They listened. They asked questions. They delivered. At home, the silence felt heavier. One evening, I came back late. The apartment smelled like dust and cold air. I tossed my keys onto the counter and stood there staring at the wall, feeling the echo of everything unsaid. My phone buzzed. An email this time. Not family. Subject line, "Quick question regarding your involvement." I frowned and opened it. It was from a man named Thomas Reed, an associate partner at a regional investment firm I recognized. He wrote politely, professionally, "Madeline, I hope this finds you well. I'm reaching out to clarify your role in an upcoming venture we've been reviewing. Your name came up in connection with Brooks Horizon Development. I wanted to confirm your level of involvement before we proceed further." My chest tightened. Brooks Horizon. I read it again. Slower, Your name came up. I didn't answer. I forwarded it to Rachel. She called me within minutes. Okay, she said, voice clipped. We're past speculation. What is this? I asked. I don't know yet, she said. But someone is telling investors you're attached. I sank onto the couch phone pressed to my ear. The city hummed outside, indifferent. I never agreed to anything I said. I know, she replied. That's why this matters. Another email came in while we were still on the call. Then another, different firms. Same phrasing, same assumption? Rachel exhaled sharply. Madeline, she said, I need you to stop deleting anything. Save it all. What are they saying? I asked. They're saying your reputation is part of the pitch, she said. Not formally, not on paper, but enough to open doors. I closed my eyes. That night I didn't sleep. I replayed every message, every call, every half sentence Evan had dropped about credibility and family names. I saw the pattern I didn't want to believe was there. The next morning, Rachel came by my office. She didn't sit down. She opened her laptop and turned it toward me. Look familiar? She asked. It was a website. Clean, minimal, professional. Brooks Horizon Development. Scrolling headlines, vision statements, a leadership section. And there it was, a paragraph titled, Strategic Advisory Support. My name, not as a founder, not as a partner, but mentioned, referenced, positioned. Industry expertise from close advisors with proven success in technology and operations, it read, including leadership from the Brooks family's own Madeline Brooks. My stomach dropped. That's not even subtle, I said. No, Rachel replied. It's intentional. She clicked deeper. PDFs opened. Pitch decks. Investor summaries. My company's milestones were listed. Not copied directly. Rephrased, polished, used. This is misrepresentation, she said, at best. I stared at the screen, my hands cold. Does Mom know I asked? Rachel hesitated. I can't prove it yet, she said, but someone forwarded Evan an email suggesting your name would smooth concerns. She pulled it up. The sender was my mother. I felt the room tilt. The words were simple, casual. Use Madeline's success. People trust that. That was the third time something in me snapped. Not sharp this time, heavy, final. My phone buzzed again. Evan, we need to talk. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I didn't answer. Another message followed. Don't let outsiders turn you against your own family. Outsiders. Rachel closed her laptop slowly. This isn't about family anymore, she said. This is about liability. I nodded. That afternoon I called my father. He answered on the fourth ring. Dad, I said, are you aware Evan is telling people I'm involved in his business? Silence. Then carefully. He mentioned something. My grip tightened on the phone. And you didn't think to tell me? I assumed you'd talk it through, he said. Your mother said, don't. I cut in. Don't finish that sentence. He sighed. He's under pressure, he said weakly. Everyone is. I laughed. It sounded wrong. So you knew, I said, and you stayed quiet. I didn't want to make things worse. There it was, the family motto. Silence disguised as peace. I hung up without saying goodbye. That evening my mother called again. I let it ring until it stopped. Then she texted, Why are investors calling me? I stared at the screen. They'd noticed. I typed one sentence. Because you used my name without asking. The reply came fast. Don't be dramatic. I set the phone down and stood by the window. Watched headlights stream down the street below. Everyone moving somewhere. Everyone believing their direction mattered. I felt calm. Not relieved. Clear. They thought this was still a negotiation. Still a family disagreement. Something that could be smoothed over with tone and time. They were wrong. Because once someone decides your identity is theirs to spend, the argument is already over. And I wasn't going to ask them to stop. I was going to make sure they couldn't continue. By the end of that week, I stopped reacting. No more muted rage, no more pacing my apartment at midnight, no more rereading messages like they might change if I stared long enough. I moved into execution mode. Rachel called it documenting. I called it drawing a line. Every email, every forwarded pitch, Every PDF with my name smuggled into the margins. Screenshots, timestamps, metadata. Rachel traced domain registrations, filing dates, shell entities. Brooks Horizon wasn't just sloppy, it was rushed, built fast, meant to ride momentum before anyone asked too many questions. They were counting on my silence. They underestimated how quiet people survive. One night, Rachel sat across from me at my kitchen table, 2 laptops open, coffee gone cold. The city outside my windows looked flat and unreal like a paused movie. They forged this, she said, tapping the screen. It was a letter of intent. My name typed cleanly at the bottom, a scanned signature layered on top, close enough to fool someone who wanted to believe. I didn't flinch. They sent it to at least 3 firms, she continued. Implied commitment. No dollar amount, but enough to suggest backing. Enough to move money, I said. Yes. I nodded once. Okay. Rachel looked at me carefully. Okay means what? It means we stop pretending this is emotional, I said, and treat it like what it is. She smiled thin and sharp. Fraud. We didn't call the police. Not yet. I wanted them to see it coming. I called my mother the next morning. She answered on the first ring, voice tight with relief. Madeline, thank God. We need to clear this up. We do, I said evenly. I want to meet. Her tone softened instantly. Of course. I knew you'd come around. I didn't correct her. We agreed on Sunday. My parents' house, late afternoon. Just family, she insisted. When I arrived, Evan was already there. He was leaning back on the couch, like he owned the room, ankle crossed over his knee, phone in hand. He looked up when I walked in, eyes sharp, searching for weakness. Hey, he said, glad you came. My mother hovered near the kitchen doorway, hands clasped too tight. My father stood by the window, staring out at nothing. I didn't sit. I placed the folder on the coffee table instead. It made a dull sound. Heavy. What's this? Evan asked, smirking. Everything I said. Rachel stepped in behind me and closed the door. The smirk slid off his face. My mother frowned. Why did you bring a lawyer? Because you didn't bring honesty, I replied. I opened the folder and slid the first document toward him. A pitch deck, highlighted. This was sent to Thomas Reed, I said. And 3 others. Evan glanced at it, then shrugged. So I continued. You used my company's performance to imply I was involved. That's marketing, he snapped. Everyone does it. Rachel leaned forward. Not like this. She placed another document on the table, then another. Emails, the website printout, the forged letter. Evan's jaw tightened. My mother stepped closer. You're blowing this out of proportion. I turned to her slowly. You told him to use my name, I said. In writing. Her eyes flicked away. I was trying to help, she said. You don't understand how hard this has been for him. That's not my responsibility, I said. She scoffed. You've always been cold. I laughed quietly. No, I said. I've been careful. My father finally spoke. Can we not do this here? Here is exactly where we do this, I said. I looked at him. You knew, I said. And you said nothing. He swallowed. I thought it would work itself out. That's what you always think, I replied. Evan stood up abruptly. You're trying to ruin me. No, I said calmly. I'm stopping you. He pointed at the folder. You could have just invested. None of this would have happened. Rachel closed her laptop with a click that cut through the room. That's not how consent works, she said. My mother's voice rose. You're choosing outsiders over your own blood. I met her gaze. You chose to spend my reputation, I said, without asking. Silence fell hard. Evan's hands were shaking now. What do you want? He demanded. Money control. I want my name removed, I said, immediately, from everything. And if we don't? He asked. Rachel answered for me. Then we forward this to every firm you contacted, she said, along with a formal notice. My mother gasped. You wouldn't. I stepped closer to her. I already did, I said. Her face drained of color. Evan stared at me, disbelief cracking through his anger. You told them, I told them the truth, I said, that I was never involved. My father sank into a chair. This will destroy him, my mother whispered. I shrugged. You should have thought of that before you taught him he could take from me. Evan looked like he might say something else, something cruel, something desperate. Instead, he sat down. Rachel gathered the folder and tucked it under her arm. "You have 48 hours," she said. "After that, we escalate." We left without another word. Outside, the air felt lighter, like a storm had passed without rain. Rachel unlocked the car and paused. "You okay?" I nodded. "I'm not angry anymore," I said. "I'm finished." That night, my phone stayed silent. For the first time since the dinner, no texts, no calls, no guilt. Just the quiet after consequences begin to move. And I knew whatever came next, it wouldn't be negotiation. It would be fallout. The fallout didn't arrive with a bang, it seeped in. Monday morning, Rachel forwarded me a single email. No commentary, no warning. Subject: withdrawal of interest. Then another, and another. By noon, Brooks Horizon's website was offline, not under maintenance. Gone. The domain returned a blank page like it had never existed. I didn't smile. I didn't feel relief. Just a steady quiet, the kind that comes after you've braced for impact and realize the hit already passed. My mother called that evening. I let it ring. She called again. I answered on the third. Her voice broke immediately. "Madeline, please. This has gone far enough." "Has it?" I asked. "You made your point," she said. "Evan understands now." I looked out the window at the city below. Offices lit up, people still working, people still building things without stealing names. "What he understands," I said, "is that actions have consequences." She sniffed. "He's devastated." I closed my eyes. "So were the investors he lied to," I replied. Silence. Then quieter. "We're family." That word again. The last card she always played. "Family doesn't forge signatures," I said. "Family doesn't sell you without asking." Her voice hardened. "You've always been unforgiving." I almost laughed. "No," I said. "I've just stopped forgiving the same thing over and over." She started crying then. Not loud, controlled, strategic. "I never thought you'd do this to us," she said. I felt it then. The final release. Not anger, not sadness. Clarity. "I didn't do this," I said. "You did." I hung up before she could answer. Evan tried next. A voicemail, long, rambling. He blamed stress, pressure, timing, everyone but himself. "You didn't have to expose me," he said. "You could have handled this privately." I listened once, then deleted it. The local business forums picked up the story 2 days later. No names in headlines, just phrases like misrepresentation and inflated claims. People who knew how to read between lines didn't need more. Rachel texted me a link. Investigation pending. That was enough. By the end of the week, Evan's girlfriend moved out. Took her car, her furniture, her patience. My aunt posted something vague about praying for healing. I blocked her. My father left a voicemail late one night. His voice sounded older. "I should have stopped it," he said. "I'm sorry." I listened twice. I didn't call back. Apologies after silence don't undo the silence. They just confirm it existed. I blocked his number the next morning. The quiet that followed wasn't empty. It was clean. At work, things moved fast. A new contract finalized. A product launch ahead of schedule. My team stayed late one night laughing over cold pizza and bad music. No tension. No walking on eggshells. No one asked me to shrink. I moved apartments in the fall. Downtown. Higher up. Floor-to-ceiling windows. The kind of place my mother would have called excessive. I bought it anyway. The first night there, I stood barefoot on the hardwood floor, city lights stretching out below like a map of choices I'd finally made for myself. No family photos on the walls. Just art I liked. Furniture I chose. Space that belonged to no one but me. Rachel came over a week later with wine. "You good?" she asked. I nodded. "I am." She studied me. "You're not angry." "No," I said. "I'm done." That was the truth. I didn't win anything. I protected it. Evan faded fast after that. New ideas, new pitches. Same pattern. No one listened. Trust doesn't reset on a timeline. Once it's gone, it stays gone. My mother sent one last message months later. "I hope one day you remember we loved you." I read it once, then deleted it. Love doesn't look like entitlement. It doesn't demand silence. and it doesn't punish you for standing tall. I used to think being strong meant enduring, taking it, smiling through it. I was wrong. Strength was walking away without explaining myself one last time. My company grew, slowly, honestly. We hired more people, built better things, no shortcuts, no borrowed credibility. Some nights when the city hums low and the office is empty, I think about that kitchen, the fluorescent light, the dishwasher rattling, my mother laughing like I'd said something absurd. That laugh doesn't haunt me anymore. It reminds me of the moment I stopped being invisible, of the moment they learned I wasn't small, and of the simple truth they never understood. You don't owe anyone access to the life you built just because they share your last name.